Hello, beautiful ladies of wings. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, one more week of March. I can't believe we are in the, third week of March, and starting out, it'll be St. Patrick's Day this week. That's my girl's birthday, so that's really exciting. It's going to be a busy week. I've got you guys already know this about me, but I have a lot of birthdays in March, and a lot of them are in this week, so it gets really busy. But I wanted to come on really quick and just talk about kind of set up the week for. Last week, we introduced Wring Out Your Sponge, and we talked a little bit about kind of getting rid of some of that negativity. I'd love to hear from you guys and hear how that's going. I know we're our own worst enemy sometimes and how we replay all of that. So hopefully you're thinking about the sponge, you're wringing it out, and also you're letting some of that, just that negativity go away. And maybe thinking of some sunshine instead of those negative words. So today, I actually want to talk a little bit. I know I brought this up before, but here's Untamed. And this, listen, this is not how I read a book. I don't normally like notate every page. And, but this book, there's a couple things. And it sat on my nightstand. This book sat on my nightstand for over a year. And if I think about like the why behind that, why would I buy a book and then it sit on my nightstand? Number one is life's busy, but number two, I knew there was something in it that was going to stir me up. And if I look at 2020, I say that I was already stirred. I think we were all stirred up a bit in 2020. But if you haven't read Untamed by Glennon Doyle, I want you to go out and get this book. I think there's pieces in here. I'm not saying that you're going to love every part of this book, and I'm not saying that it's all going to resonate with you, because it's not. Everybody has a different pathway. Everybody has a different background and opinion, and that's what makes the world go round. That's what makes this all worthwhile and makes life amazing. But there's pieces in here that just stir you in the most amazing way. So I'm going to read a few things. One is, for those of you that have the book, this is page 173. This is her saying, listen, every time you're given a choice between disappointing someone else and disappointing yourself, your duty is to disappoint the someone else. Your job throughout your entire life is to disappoint as many people as it takes to avoid disappointing yourself. Let that sink in for a minute. I don't know any of us that are leading our life that way. Very few. And a lot of us would say that's maybe a selfish way to lead life, right? How selfish is that you don't care about anybody else and you only care about yourself? That's not what she's saying. I think what she's saying, and what I've read throughout this book that I really cherished, was keep the promises that you make to yourself like you made them to someone else. She says that a couple times through here. And I think for most of us, the first person we break a promise with is ourselves. And the first person we disappoint is ourselves, because we're trying to please everybody else. We're trying to make everybody else happy. I think if you look at the decades, like generationally, like the 20s, that when I was in my 20s, when I was in my 30s, when I was in my 40s, and I look forward to being in my 50s. I'm in my 40s, and something happens in your 40s. In your 30s, it's like, taking on a lot of new chapters, right? We talk about women in growth situations. In your 30s, you're taking on new pieces of your career. You're possibly starting a family. You're possibly getting married. And that's not to say that for everybody, but the 30s are transformative when it comes to like who you are as a human, where you want your life to go. And you've got this bigger lens on than you had in your 20s, right? And then when you get into your 40s, some of those things that you had planted in your 30s are now starting to grow, whether that's career, kids, life, marriage, whatever those things are that you planted in your 20s and 30s and really set roots into in your 30s. Now in your 40s, you're seeing some of that grow. There's a lot of challenges in there, right? Do they need to be watered? Is something not growing the way that it should? Do you need to figure a few things out? but there's a piece of it in your 40s that kind of says, I'm going to do things my way a little more than I did. I would say in each decade, I would say we say, I'm going to do things my way a little bit more than I did the last decade. And I can only guess, and I know from a lot of conversations that I've had with beautiful women that I know in their 50s and 60s, that grows. And I look forward to that. There's a confidence in that and being able to, each stepping stone, each experience that you have along the way, you've now built some confidence because you've tackled things, you've stood up within things, and you've said, you know what? I can do this. And you've conquered, right? We climb the mountains and we conquer things. And in those moments, we start to feel a lot of pride for the things that we've been able to do, or I hope that we're starting to feel a lot of pride. So those would be just some of the things along the way that I hope that we continue to look forward to as we grow. But this resonated with me today of not breaking the promises to ourselves and not disappointing ourselves at all costs, trying to make sure if we have to disappoint someone else in order to not disappoint ourselves. That just really resonated with me. So I probably will continue to reference this book. It was amazing. It stirred me in a lot of ways, and there's a lot of pieces that I want to go back and continue to look at and continue to read. She's got a lot of profound moments in here. And again, I'm not saying you're going to agree with every piece that she has. That's life. We don't all agree with the things that people are saying along the way. But March for me is rebirth, right? We talked about in the first week, we talked about rebirth. In the second week, we're talking about like getting rid of some of that negativity. And in the third week, which is this week, I want to talk about, being there for ourselves, not disappointing ourselves. So I hope that resonates with you. I look forward to these times together. And each week, I'm just sort of bringing something extra that I want us to focus on. And just sending you guys a lot of love today. And happy third week of March. Have a good one. Bye, guys.